Hey everyone, it's TL Walker here on our Step Up vidcast, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Jennifer Yau, who is a pain and emotional release expert, and her background is Chinese medicine, energy healing, holistic health counseling, and massage. And with her trademark method and over 20 years of experience in holistic health and energy healing, she's helped thousands of people heal from their pain naturally. But what she's most passionate about is helping busy professional women become pain-free, have more freedom in their movement, which I can relate to, and become more reconnected, revitalized, and re-energized so that they can be empowered to live more authentically. Wow. Thanks, Jennifer, for joining me. So how did you begin doing what you do?
Well, after finishing my master's in Chinese medicine almost 10 years ago, I gradually created my own methodology called Integrative Rebalancing Therapy. And I realized that there is this disconnect between people and their pain. And there's a pattern in which chronic pain is created in the body and that people are not aware of it. I saw this and I saw what they can do to fix it. And this was also a time where I was going through a very hard time in my life and dealing with my own pain. And I was going through like divorce and, just finishing up the degree and juggling a little one as a single mom. It wasn't until after going through my master's where I finally pieced it all together, everything that I knew. And I realized that part of the problem is that we're not looking deeper in what the body is communicating to us. Pain is a way our soul communicates with us. And in addition, we're not working with the essence of who we are. And some of us may have learned about anatomy and biology and physiology in school, but I would say that none of us were ever really taught in mainstream education about chakras and meridians and how emotional and spiritual imbalances can affect our health. And so the energetic components of our body are also a part of who we are. And this is why I birthed my 12-week program, Fluid Flow Foundation, so that I could help women dive deeper into discovering what their pain is about so that they could eliminate their pain for good and heal on many levels. And my core mission, it really is to help people to heal themselves and to raise their vibrational frequencies so they can contribute to a higher consciousness.
Right. I had heard from someone else, and I thought it was really interesting how energetic medicine, quote unquote, is kind of more spirit, like healing for the spirit. And understanding what the spirit is even eludes me. How would you define it? And when people come to you, what kind of problems do they typically present with?
Well, they usually have some sort of chronic pain, obviously, and it's worsened with stress, or it's triggered by emotions or some sort of traumatic event that's happened in their life, right? Or that's happening. But the problems are recurring and they may feel just a little lost. And even though they may have everything they want in their life, they feel like they lack joy or motivation, and they know that something isn't right. And doing more is not really the answer, right? So, and they have tried everything, and nothing seems to really work for long term or at all for them. And the pain keeps coming back, and sometimes they're irritated and often frustrated because it can get to a point where they're just losing sleep at night, or it's just affecting their just normal daily activities.
Sure. Being in pain affects every, not just the individual, but their families, their coworkers. I mean, I worked at a pain center, my first job out of physical therapy school, about 25 years ago. And we were just scraping the surface of, involving counseling. And so this was in the late 90s. And, your program, again, you're not a licensed psychologist or anything like that, But do you work with psychologists, or is that something that people seek out, as well as are you part of an integrated team, or do people just tend to come to you for one-on-one, and then you kind of take it from there?
Yeah, no, I'm not part of a team, and I'm not a psychologist, but with this work, the therapy comes with it,
Sure.
because we're not separate from
No.
uh, yeah, any of that. It's all of us. When we're dealing with pain, we're dealing with emotional imbalances and spiritual imbalances. It's all a part of us, and there's no separation. You
Sure.
know, yeah.
And what kind of results do your clients experience?
Well, I so I take them on this journey of learning, unlearning, and relearning, where they discover how their patterns are created from
Mhm.
their early environment or experiences. And so this kind of forms their beliefs or thought patterns, which creates a certain pain pattern in their body, right? Or for some, it's health problems. I would give them tools to help clear these blockages and pain patterns, and then help them create new pathways that facilitates healing on many levels. And I help them understand how the body naturally flows and works, so that they can attune to their body energetically to create more flow and enhance their health and well-being. So they become pain free, and they feel more freedom in their life, because not only are they no longer dealing with the pain, they have like a deeper understanding of themselves. And through this program, they go through major breakthroughs with issues that could have been keeping them down their entire life. And from this program, the women feel empowered to become the best versions of themselves, and basically live more authentically as they uncover the gifts um, that they have from breaking down the walls of pain. And their health and well-being is basically dramatically enhanced on all levels.
Right. And how long is the program?
It's 12 weeks.
Okay. And do people meet with you on a weekly basis, or how does it flow?
Yeah, I generally it's week to week that we meet, but sometimes we some women like to have more time in between to integrate. So we adjust according we can adjust it according to their needs.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And what kind of tools do you give them?
Well, I help them. Well, first we go through their health history, and then I help them understand how that affected their body.
Mhm.
Uh, because we have energy centers and meridians, and we have an energetic body, and that's how when it's out of balance, this creates pain patterns or illness. And I help them pretty much work with the energetic components of their body, and the emotional and spiritual components of their body.
Right.
So
Is this strictly for pain, or is it for other diagnoses that might not be causing pain, physical pain, um, like say anemia or something like that?
it's for pain where I find that, so this is specific to people who have chronic pain, but say they go to the doctor, they get an x-ray, MRI, nothing's wrong, right? There's no tears, no physical thing out of alignment. They might be sent to the physical therapist, and they do some work, but it's still there,
Mhm. Yeah.
so it obviously there's a root of some sort of emotional and spiritual imbalance that's causing the pain, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that like this is kind of for practitioners, because I've been in situations with patients myself
Mhm.
who I believe that there is an emotional component to their pain, What's the best way to kind of introduce them to that idea and, be able to refer them to someone like yourself?
Um, I mean, to introduce them to the idea that there's a spiritual, emotional
Yeah.
component to that. The easiest thing is if you could look up chakras
Huh?
and what the emotions that it's related to,
Okay.
the areas that those centers are related to, and like what it could affect either physically or the organs or things like that. That's as a general guide
Right. And
to,
so
yeah,
you can just like Google chakras. Would that?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And it,
chakras and emotions or something,
okay.
or meridians and emotions,
Okay.
like that. Yeah,
Right.
as a general guide. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just read on Facebook that you have started a nonprofit. You just got
Yeah.
your certification from the state, which is super exciting, and it's called ISIS Community Health. So,
Yep.
can you tell me about it? Tell me about that process.
Yeah. Well, I started ISIS Community Health post COVID-19 because I realized that I wanted to help people in need and the socially disadvantaged. And just seeing that there's a rise in pain and depression and food insecurity and substance use, and well, the list goes on, right?
Sure.
The purpose of the organization, my vision for it is to teach people how to be self-sustainable and self-reliant through um, giving them the tools like health education or health services, and helping them create these community gardens,
Mhm.
herbal gardens, so that within the community, so they can actually help each other. Um, yeah, within the community. So
Awesome.
um yeah, I think that like for most people don't even know about how their bodies work already. And we were never really taught
Yeah.
in school everything we need to know to be empowered to help ourselves, right? And mainstream education only teaches part of who we are, and the socially disadvantaged and the low income communities have even less access to
Right.
this information. So on top of that, they generally in these neighborhoods, they have like little access to proper nutrition and fresh produce and stuff like that too, because oftentimes they get food that's about to spoil or expire. And I know this from years ago. I lived in a neighborhood where it was low income, and the closest market to me was like a Food for Less,
Yeah.
and the quality of the produce and meats were horrible and like oftentimes about to rot, and me myself growing up in a community where the basic needs such as food was valued and was essential, and it was always cheap and affordable, and it was always good quality. So like Asian markets will never sell you bad produce at inflated prices, right?
Right.
And so I was really appalled by what was being sold at these stores like Food for Less in low income neighborhoods. And so I think that if we can create community gardens, and health education to show people how they can take care of themselves and be more self-reliant, um, and then help them thrive, that would be really the way to bring up the community, because oftentimes these communities are reliant on the government and the system, and they don't really get much access to anything. Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I think now more than ever, we need to be more self-sustainable and self-reliant. Post COVID-19 should actually like teach us all to be more prepared for the unforeseen, right?
Absolutely.
And and that, so that events like this can't really affect us in a huge way as it has been for many people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would almost say, excuse the pun, but, get back to the roots.
yeah,
uh, because, we were one time primarily hunters and farmers, right?
yeah. Hmm.
We've lost that through our evolution
Hmm.
and whatnot, and food has become almost, like a lot of other things, very artificial, uh,
Yeah.
and not what we were meant to digest. And I personally think that a lot of people have digestive issues, which can feed into their pain issues
Exactly.
as well,
Yeah.
from an inflammatory process,
Right.
uh,
Right.
through improper diet and
Yeah.
eating poor quality of food. And I, so many people, and I'm so glad that you're bringing this to individuals who truly need this,
Yeah.
bringing it back to ourselves, and
Yeah.
becoming empowered and proud of something that we're contributing to, almost, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, I don't know if people know, but even in packaged foods, what we deem healthy, like if you go to stores that have the pre-cut vegetables or whatnot, it's like the reason why it's staying fresh the whole time is because there's chemicals in it. Like you think you're eating healthy, and that could contribute to your digestive issues. And
right,
so growing your own food is ultimately the best.
obviously.
Yeah.
And speaking, you actually are speaking to me, because I do
Yeah.
sometimes buy, uh,
Yeah.
food from Trader Joe's,
Yeah.
is cut up and in,
Yeah.
and I do believe that I'm eating healthy. So what
Yeah.
kind of things could we do to kind of clean the food prior to eating it that would help? Are there any, you know any types of washes or anything that would help with those chemicals, or are they treated internally?
I think the pre-cut ones are treated internally because I specifically, if you mentioned Trader Joe's, they're the Tuscany kale. Have
Uh,
you had that? I remember one time trying to cook it down and it would not cook down.
wow.
It's like
Yeah.
this is something strange here.
And
But
we're not knocking Trader Joe's. And you
yeah,
can say I love Trader Joe's.
yeah, I love Trader Joe's too. But there's stuff that you have to be aware of. I mean, I guess if you bought like,
Sure.
you can wash your fruits and vegetables with the
Right.
vegetable wash and stuff. But other than that, like, you have more control. Just like when you cook at home, you have more control when you grow your own vegetables and
Right. And even,
yeah,
processed or packaged things, looking at, I've started to look at ingredients again, because
yeah,
I just got some well, according to my doctor, abysmal blood tests. Nothing really has changed in the last 20 years, but I still am struggling with the same issues that I did from 20 years ago. And
yeah,
so I really do. I try to eat very pure.
yeah,
it- you know, try not to eat anything that comes out of a bag, or,
mhm,
and then also
yeah,
not to
yeah,
in plastic. It's not
yeah,
easy. And what's interesting too is when we talk about food allergies, and you have things like people are told to try to avoid dairy, those
yeah,
individuals, and then they're eating like you know cheese that's made from things that are made to taste like cheese, but they're really made from like nuts, and then there's
right,
a whole bunch of chemicals in there, and you're wondering, okay, which is worse? You know
right,
what I mean?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
it goes back to the whole butter and margarine thing from
yeah,
years ago. And I really do, I do appreciate. I just go back to my grandparents, my grandmother, who was an immigrant, and her family was very poor,
mhm,
but they had a flourishing garden.
mm,
And,
nice,
she just talks about Pop's garden,
mhm,
had 5 children, and they were able, with help from the government, um, to, go ahead and be able to eat, with good nutrition. My grandmother lived into her early 90s and
Mm.
independently at home. So there's something to be said about eating quality foods. There used to be a TV commercial during Saturday morning cartoons, you are what you eat. And
Mm-hmm.
it's important. And I think coming back to this all is, again, kind of part of the component, because we really have to, like you do, address the body, mind, spirit, soul, and do that through a number of different ways in order to achieve
Yeah,
the balance that we do in our worlds. Uh,
right.
because
Yeah.
it's really challenging on so many levels right now. I think we're all kind of feeling that. So
Yeah.
for the individuals who would like to reach out to you, how do they go ahead and do so?
Well, I probably the best way is to go through my website, jenniferyau.com,
Okay,
but I'm also on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn.
great. And we have all those links down below in the information box. So you can go ahead and click on there. And, when we go ahead and premiere this, we'll be able to interact with anybody who has any questions as well. So that'll be awesome. So Jennifer, thank you. Is there anything else that you wanted to add that I didn't touch on?
Yes, I'm starting a group version of my Fluid Flow Foundations program. And I would like to offer your listeners an early bird special if they want to learn more about or sign up with $200 off if they sign up by December 15th. But first, I would like to invite them to get in contact with me so that we could just do a call to see if we're actually a good fit
Yeah,
in working together.
absolutely. I like to do that as well. Because,
Yeah,
yeah, I think we all get a good vibe. It's important to go ahead and have a conversation and feel if it's the right, exactly like you said,
yeah,
if it's the right fit or not.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you again for offering that. And again, the information is below to contact you to go
Mhm.
ahead and have that discovery call, as well as your information to check out. So Jennifer, thanks again for coming on
Of
and
course.
telling me about your program, and again for reminding me about what I'm eating. So
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Step Up with DL Walker. For any information about our guest, it'll be found in the comments box below this video. For more information on how you can recover from injury, restore vitality, and gain resilience from disease and trauma, all in the comfort of your home, click the link on the screen. Until next time, take good care of your body, mind, and spirit. It's the only true home that you really have.